Welcome back to another episode of Finding Love. We always reflect on what our listeners and readers and viewers are talking about, and also what's going on in our lives. But we got our first strawberry letter from on Steve Harvey's show. Y'all writing in and we're dialing in. And today's episode is dedicated to one of our followers. So I'm going to just go right in and read this letter because it was short, sweet. It was just so much of a punch to it though. I'm like, dang. So she says, "Hey, Jenny and Steven, I appreciate you two so much for taking time out to give your perspective because it is so often that I feel you are speaking directly to me. We are, girl, and you are welcome. I am currently going through a divorce, which has been physically, spiritually, and mentally draining. I can just imagine. We have 3 children together, 2, 4, and 6, and the courts and mediation are up next." Oh, Lord. Okay, we got an 18-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it there. Like Jenny said, I believe I am a wife. Yes, you are. How do I keep from being jaded and bitter for my future husband? Listen.
Man.
It was so many points. I was like, yes, I want to say this. I want to say that. I want to do that. So we're going to address it today. I think we have to start with the fact that this woman already knows her future.
Yes.
And it is not being dictated by her past. So in going through just addressing how to deal with a difficult situation like a breakup or a divorce, I think that we got to start with assessing that past a little bit.
I think you absolutely do. And one thing that I do appreciate about what she said to us is that she understands that the toll that her marriage and what she's about to go through can take on her. It can jade her. It can just provide for such a negative mindset and just day-to-day lifestyle negative practices.
Yes.
And so I really appreciate her reaching out to us, man. And I think let's dive into it because this is not the first person that we have talked to that has gone through a divorce, has gone through breakups, right? And so this is real life stuff that's going on. And this is important because, like you said, she is a wife and she wants to make sure that she doesn't turn the wrong way.
Yeah. And I think that living through COVID, we were seeing COVID was taking people out, okay? I don't know if it was just staying in close quarters with your significant other for so long or just life changed, right? And your perspective on life and what you wanted changed. And we saw quite a few divorces within our acquaintances and friend group as well. So I get it, right? We've seen it, we've heard the different stories, and it's not an overarching this means you're gonna get divorced or anything like that. But I also just think it is very, very important to not feel like a failure. Yeah. Right? Every single day, life is built on a series of choices. And some you're gonna make the right choice, some of them you're gonna make the wrong choice, some of them you just made an uninformed choice, right? And I believe that most divorces come about because of that uninformed choice. Maybe you were young and you married for love. And you realize love is cool, but it gotta be kept, or do we work together well? Do we, our conflict resolution, is that perfect? Are we a partnership? Do we both want kids? It's just so much other stuff besides just love. Or, maybe at the time it was a financial decision.
Right.
You weren't where you were supposed to be or where you wanted to be, and that person enhanced you for that moment. Anything. But those uninformed decisions and the changes that you made throughout just naturally growing in life, man, it's not a failure.
No. And speaking to this listener's letter specifically, I think one thing that she has to do, and so many of us have to do, is reflect on our past. And that might throw you off because a lot of people think that it's reflecting on your past marriage. But no, it's going further back, because we have to reflect on our past in a place of understanding and remembering your power and your value. And that is what we forget so much, because we lose ourselves in relationships. We lose ourselves in marriages. And so one of the things that I would say, the first thing that we have to do is reflect on our past. We have to remember why you're loved so much by your friends, why you're so dope, you know, why everybody wants you in the first place, right? And that right there, we have to go back to that place, because that is where your power is. That is where your value resides, and you cannot let one person or a moment in time take that from you. You have to remember it, because that is who you are. No moment in time and no person can take that from you. And so we have to go back to that place, and then we can lean on that and remember who we were, right? Now
that's good, because I think that so often people who come out of divorces, especially women, we start to think of our past as a burden or, you know, a crutch. Like, dang, now I got all these kids and I'm trying to date. Now, you know, oh man, I'm a divorcee and I'm trying to date. Like, we look at the past as baggage instead of remembering our power in our past, right? There's a reason that this man, even in particular, said, I want to commit to you. I want you to have my babies. You know, going back to who you are and who you are meant to be to this world is something that I think we get lost in translation. And looking back, we get so focused on, oh no, look at all the stuff that came out of my past, instead of saying, no, look who I have become because of my past.
Bingo.
So it's just a shifting the narrative. The same reflection, right? But making sure that it is focused on that positivity, like you said.
And you said it's shifting the narrative, but also shifting the perspective. Right? Because it's 100% that this woman in this letter is 100% a better version of herself now today than she was before she was ever in that relationship. And it's shifting the narrative, but shifting the perspective to understanding that, right? Because you can build yourself up, or like so many people do, and our friends have done, tear themselves down, right? And so I thought, you know, like I said, you know, looking at the letter, and I'm looking at it right now, she's got 3 beautiful kids. And 2, 4, and 6 is not a game to play with. Right. So yes, she does have a tall order in front of her. But I believe that based on the value that she has possessed prior to this relationship and grown, that shifting the narrative, like you said, and shifting that perspective, that is something that is so, you know, that is doable. And, you know, it's an understanding that you have to take that on.
You said doable, and I just don't want anybody to ever think that we think that it's easy. Doable does not mean easy. This doesn't mean like you're gonna wake up the day after your divorce and be like, but all those life lessons I've learned. No, we get that, right? I don't know how much time I would need. But in taking that time, making sure that every single day you go back to saying, what did I learn? How can I apply that to my future? And who do I want to become? Who do I have to become? Because something wasn't right. Whether it was the person you were when you made that decision that wasn't the best one for your life, or is the person that you became in that marriage, right? Because a lot of times it could be, you know, oh, we kind of messed up on getting married. Maybe we weren't supposed to, but now I've become ugly or jaded or, you know, lessen my power because I've allowed your energy to reflect who I am, or I have, you know, changed my entire identity to just be your wife, or whatever the case may be in different relationships. But going into who you are, who you want to become, who is going to set the tone for your legacy now.
Oh, yeah.
Because that past is not yours.
Yeah, and what you said is very true. We are not going to dismiss the challenge that is ahead, okay?
Yeah.
But that's not what this is about, right? This is about hitting the reset button so we could begin the process to getting her and anybody back to a place of positivity and towards their goals and their future, because it is not over, right? No. And so that's the thing, is there healing that has to happen? Is there challenging times, right? We are never going to dismiss that, right?
No, right.
But what I will have to say is that you can, a toxic relationship will try to take the most beautiful parts of you.
Yes.
And I have to say that again, a toxic relationship will try to take the most beautiful parts of you. Facts. And I remember my wife in last episode talked about some characteristics that a man should look for in a woman.
Yeah.
And so this letter has just got me thinking about how a relationship like this or another relationship will try to take your nurturing, will try to take the soft part of you and make you hard, right? And will take the consideration and loyalty and everything now is off the table. And so going back into that reflection period, the nurturing part, the consideration, the loyalty, the self-care, right?
Right.
We've seen girls just don't want to be in the bed all day.
They just done.
They don't care about their nails no more.
Yeah.
No, get back in your bag, as my wife would say.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because all of that is what was a part of what made you just so beautiful and what such a woman and such a wife, right?
Yes.
And so reflecting on that, like you said, I think is so important.
I think that healing process is going through that past. But that light that's at the end of that healing process is really foreseeing your future. So I think that the next phase of this process of getting over this and preparing yourself for your future husband is seeing that, believing that.
Yes.
I teach people even in accounting and business that, one, you got to believe that you are supposed to be wealthy. You got to believe that this business can actually be viable, right? You have to believe that you are a wife still. And you have to make sure that in that belief, you're not saying, either downing yourself like, I clearly don't make the right decisions, or I clearly choose fools, or and you're not doubting that future husband. Whatever trust issues, whatever, negativity that came out of that past relationship, you have to make sure that your future, you're saying, I'm going to deal with that person on that person's level. Step by step, who is this person showing me they are? Yeah.
And my wife, I got to take a quick pivot because my wife is a lyric girl. And one of the artists we do like is Giveon. And so I just also, something else came to my mind, Giveon has a song called Scarred.
Yeah.
And in that song, it says, my last love was cold. And so now I have to be the coldest.
He's so toxic. He's so toxic with that good old voice.
It's toxic, but how many people either consciously or subconsciously go that way? But going back to what you said is making sure that after you have that reflection, going back and reestablishing your future, believing in it, believing I am a wife, believing you should still have aggressive goals financially.
For sure.
And I think also another thing is that sometimes it's the most transformative part of somebody when they go through such a challenging time.
Oh, yeah.
How many times have you seen a woman, go through a divorce and she's in the best shape of her life?
I know. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or they take a total pivot on their career change, right?
Yes.
But it's because I think they reestablished their goals and they believed in those goals.
Yeah. And believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have my power.
Yeah.
We are powerful together, but you don't possess my power.
That's right.
And I think that in going through a divorce and trying to reestablish your identity and trying to figure out how to go back out into this world, right? Mm-hmm. Where nobody ain't saying, hey, how's your husband? You know, we're not together. Whatever, because I know that would be like, I probably would make it more awkward. Like, well, but anyway, I digress. But in reestablishing your identity, I think it is like that time where, yes, messed up. Yes. But to focus on all the things that bring you joy. Mm-hmm. To focus on those 3 babies. Yeah. To focus, like you said, on you feeling good.
That's right.
You looking good.
That's right.
You being desired, right? Mm-hmm. And you feeling desirable.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those things come into play. Digging into your bag of spirituality, right? I think that something as difficult as divorce, you can't lean on your understanding.
That's right.
Or none of your friends. You got to be like, okay, what do the words say?
Right.
Because this is Christ. Mm-hmm. And you might even have to reestablish your faith. Mm-hmm. Maybe you were praying to God for this man. Yeah. And you were praying through whatever storm y'all couldn't get out of.
That's right.
And you got to reestablish your faith and get your footings together.
Yeah. And find yourself again.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. And so in doing that, in seeing your future, seeing who you want to be, who you want to be to those children, who you want to be to your future husband, I think that is a step-by-step process of you reinventing you.
Yeah.
You, the newly single mother.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a totally different hat.
Yeah.
It's a totally different hat.
No, I think that is absolutely something that you have to dial in on and focus on. But then there's another piece I think we have to address, right? So a lot of it is reflection in the beginning. Reflecting on your past, remembering who you are, remembering your value and your power. And then after you understand that, you remember your power. You remember everything that makes you beautiful is now believing in your future, reestablishing your future by yourself, but also for your potential person and your potential, everything that you have coming your way, right? Yeah. But then the next part is living in the present. And when we say living, the living part is active. Yeah. And it's living in positivity. Yeah. And that positivity is a process. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because you're living with somebody else. And whether you have kids with them or whether you do not have kids with them, you still sacrificed a great deal of your life. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so the first thing I would imagine, and our friends have even said, it's just negativity. Mm-hmm. It is pain. It's just so much hurt. Yeah. And so how do we turn that around? And one thing that I would say is that you are the person that you practice to be.
That's good.
You know?
Mic drop.
I'm an athlete, right? Well, I was an athlete. I'm 40 now and I have 3 children. I am a husband and a father. Okay?
You're an athlete.
Thank you, babe. And so sometimes when you've been away from a game for a little while, you got to go back to your layups. Yeah. You got to go back to your free throws. Mm-hmm. You got to go back to the simple things. Yeah. And so having that reflection and being able to, build your belief, but getting back into the practices of what you need to do each and every day has to be based on positivity and growth. Yeah.
I agree 100%. I also think that it is very easy to just jump back into like hanging with your single friends, right? Yeah. And sometimes your single friends, they ain't never been married, right? So that's not the path that you should necessarily want to take. You want to...
Or your negative friends, right?
Or your negative friends, right? The ones that make you feel like, oh, it's cool to be negative right now. Yep. When you really need the support of your friends that are going to say, hey, remember your power. Yes. Remember your value. Yes. Let's look towards the future. Let's love on you. Yep. Let's pray together. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Let you vent.
Yes.
Some venting needs to happen.
Yeah. That's healing.
With some cuss words.
That's healing.
Okay?
That's right.
You know,
that's healing.
And that shut down, that I don't want the support from the person that wants to talk, or I can't deal with my married friends right now. I don't want the potential judgment. Yeah. I think that sometimes women, especially men too, just lose themselves in that regroup.
Yeah.
So the first thing you see is maybe all the pictures of their spouse off their page.
Yeah.
That's like, hey, social media, I'm ready to mingle, Then their next picture is like a bikini. Oh, your shirt off, fellas, and you been in the gym because you got more time on your hands. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess this is happening,
Yeah.
And it's like, don't focus on just getting back out there and being single again, right? Unless, now I got to take that back, because if this person was somebody that you've been with since high school or, all through college, and you don't know nobody else, maybe you need to date. Maybe that was the problem in the beginning. But if you done dated the heck out of life, don't go back to your old ways.
Yeah.
We are future progressing. Like, we are thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
And what's next is not going back to anything that did not serve you in the past.
Yeah, and the healing process is so important that, yes, okay, we should get back into dating, but the healing process is so important in it, right? Because we talked about it. That toxic relationship can take so much of your beautiful parts that now you're not ready to date. Right? You can't find your husband or your wife because you're not there with the most nurturing part of you or the most considering part of you or your self-care, right?
Yep.
When you are ready, you are ready. But that's why I think the day-to-day practices of positive friends, like you said, right?
Yes.
Having those positive friends that are there for you, that are speaking life into you, that believe in your future versus just trying to tear down the past and focus on F him, you don't need him, right? That right there, okay, that's fine. We can have a dinner or two about that.
Right.
But guess what, man? That is the past. And we have to focus on the future.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that's why focusing on, you touched on it, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, growing. Get out there, get your steps in, walk the track, work out. If you aren't with the church, you go find your church home. Go visit, right? If you think that this relationship was so tough on you, that it did so much to your mental, that it's affecting your physical, it's affecting your emotions, please go seek therapy, right? Because mental health is a serious thing for any and everybody. And I can only imagine what somebody would go through when they dedicated so many years of their life, right? Yeah. And so you have to go back and you have to constantly commit to practicing and being positive and having positive friends and having positive hobbies, positive activities. And yes, you definitely have to feed into your kids, like we always talk about, but you have to have some grown-up alone time.
Man.
But you gotta be busy with building yourself, because we've also said this before, idle time is a devil's playground.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so you gotta get back into the process of building yourself back up.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to talk about the kids.
Yeah.
Like a couple things. Number one, you have to develop a strong and reliable and unproblematic, uncontroversial co-parenting situation in order to really go to the next level. And a lot of that takes forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
So if you went through a terrible divorce, you guys aren't seeing eye to eye, you button heads on everything. It's time to figure out, where can we compromise?
Yeah. And
sometimes it will not be on every single decision. You got to say, okay, at your house, those are your rules, right? And that's fine, as long as what you do on your individual basis collectively is for the betterment of these children, right? Yeah. But I think that that's something else, like co-parenting, especially for the other person. When you're going through courts and mediation and trying to figure out how to communicate, it is very, very challenging. very challenging, and it takes a toll on every single person, and probably more so the children.
Absolutely.
So it's like, in the process of healing and dealing with your past, you have to heal in a way that you give forgiveness to your ex-partner so that you guys can communicate effectively to co-parent. I think that that needs to be at the top of your list. Like, you know, you, self-love, all that good stuff. But these babies, especially you having such little ones, you got a lifetime to go with still dealing with this person, this individual. So I think that focusing on that, making sure that in the courts and in the mediation, you are not thinking about, I want to hurt him, or I need to retaliate on him. And it is all about, okay, all right, his schedule is more conducive to after school, right?
Yeah. So
maybe I can get him to school, he can pick him up. Or I like 1 week on, 1 week off, because I would love to have a week by myself.
Yeah.
Those are the types of things and conversations you want to try to have, versus going in there and being like, I'm getting everything, or I'm taking it. Kids need both parents, and they need healthy, thriving parents. Man. They need to see the strength of their mother who could take care of them by herself. They need to see that their mother was taking care of 3 kids at the house by themselves, but she still was fly. She was still in her career bag. She still found time to play tennis, work out, you know, and those things, you don't realize it until the kids get older, but they are watching us like, I don't know what. And we are setting the example of what an upstanding human looks like. And you can't lose yourself for that alone.
Yeah.
For these children.
Man, I'm so glad you touched on that, because, you know, we've lived that court life. We've lived a co-parenting life. Yeah. And that's why I think it is so important to practice positivity, because if you are positive, man, you can get back to a place of really focusing on your kids, because that is the piece that a lot of parents miss, that the kids get caught in the middle. Yeah. And if you're honestly considering what's in the best interest of the kids, then it will be so much less fighting, right? Because what we've seen in our experiences and other experiences, it's just the fighting between the parental preferences of what the parents prefer versus what's in the best interest of the kids. Yeah. And so the other side for our listener letter is that please practice positivity, because, you know, he might try to pull you back into a toxic relationship, even though you outside of the relationship. Yeah. And so being able to stay positive and have your active gratitude and focus on your children and focus on your personal growth, your financial growth, being able to focus on that on a day-to-day basis is so important, because the courts can be trying, a co-parent can be trying, and so you have to stay just with the process. You're hitting the reset button and you're moving forward, and you're going to be better now than ever. Yeah,
for sure. I think that these 3 phases that you're going to go through are going to be equally hard in different ways. But I think that the overall outlook on your past, on what you want your future to look like, and how you're dealing with the day-to-day right now, it's got to be stay positive. Stay positive, know your worth, reinvent yourself, woman, because you are a wife and not his wife, okay? Yeah. So you have to reinvent what that looks like, because I'm his wife.
That's right.
I ain't nobody else's wife. Like, and that's something that we have to reflect on and understand and really regain focus on during this time. But we are praying for you. We love you. We know that great things are going to come from you. And we just want you to know that you have us as your support and accountability, and we're rooting for you.
Yes.
Just stay the course. Get back to being you, loving on your children, and don't give that man hell, even if he was hell. Okay, just forget it.
Do not match that energy.
Don't match it. Yeah. The kids will not benefit from it at all.
Yes. So please remember, reflect on your past, on who you are, your value, your power, and reestablish your future. Never stop believing that you are a wife, you are an amazing mother, and that you have so much more life to give and so much that is waiting for you in a beautiful future. And the last thing, day-to-day positivity. And we are living now. We are living for ourselves. You are living for your children, and you are living for your potential of what's to come. Should we toast it up?
I think we need to toast.
All right. There you go.
All right. So we have to toast to all of the men and women who are going through a breakup, going through divorce, and really just needed that reminder that they are beautiful, that they are strong, that they are going to get through this, and that this is their opportunity to do something special and reinvent who they want to present to the world. You are a wife, you are a husband, and better times are yet to come.
Absolutely.
All right?
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a journey of love, of understanding, of vulnerability, and we are just so appreciative that you have joined us for another episode of Finding Love.
And we want to invite you into our Finding Love community. And one of the best ways to do that is clicking that subscribe button right down there.
If you want to tune in with us more, kick it with us more, learn more about Finding Love, we definitely want you to follow us on all social media at I Am Finding Love. And I am Jenny L. Hendricks on all social media platforms. Jenny with an I, L. Hendricks with an IX.
Hey, there you go, baby. And mine is Stephen Hendricks, #1. And also, for anybody's listening to us on one of these amazing podcast platforms, please rate, review, comment. We really appreciate you.